All right, let's look at how you work on constraints. First, if you want to put a constraint on order equipment, and you want to say order it not later than, let's look at the different options available. So you double click and you get the task information, and you are actually going into advanced. And you would see that you have the ability to put a deadline, or you can come here and you can determine when the deadline will be, or you can put a constraint type. Now there are several. There is as late as possible, as soon as possible, finish no earlier than, finish no later than, must finish on, must finish on, must start on, must finish on. So let's talk about the options. As late as possible is when you are scheduling from the end. As soon as possible is normally when you're scheduling from the beginning. Finish no earlier than is as a constraint that says that there is a time to finish, and finish no later than. Then you have must finish on. These two are very, very firm constraints. And in my PowerPoint, I talked to you about the different types of constraints. Must finish on is a kind of hard constraint, or must start on. And this limits the schedule, because if you have finished your task on the 10th and you have a must start on of the 15th, it means nothing can go forward if there's not no task in any other path. So you have to actually wait until the 15th because it has to start on that date. Start no earlier than, start no later than. Now, as soon as possible is the default start, because when finalized design is finished, immediately order equipment. So that is the default. So that if we want to put install wiring, and we going to double click, and we wanted to put a constraint on pre-install wiring, and we are going to say finish no earlier than. And let us see, it is finishing, it's supposed to finish on the 5th, but suppose we want to say finish no earlier than the 4th of April. So we go back to April. It's supposed to be the 30th of April, and we say finish no earlier than the 30th of April, and we click OK. You realize what comes here is a box, and when you hover it, this task has a finish no earlier than constraint on the 30th of April. So this is how it is registered. You can actually see it, but I don't want it, so I will reverse it. But I was just showing you that to show you how you deal with deadlines and constraints. We are in the Gantt chart entry view, and we want to get to set the baseline. All right, so we're going to go to project. We're going to go to set baseline, and we are setting the baseline today. We're not setting an interim, we're setting it for the entire project, and we say OK. Now, to see if the baseline has set, we're going to go whether where we can get information on the baseline. So we're going to go back into tables view, tables, and we're going into cost. And you realize that when we go into cost, we are getting the baseline, we getting the total cost, we getting the baseline. It's the same right now because there have been no updates. We getting variance, no variances because we haven't entered anything yet, and the remaining cost. So the baseline has been set. Now, another thing we wanted to set is the status date, because we want to actually do a project at the status date. So we're going to go back into the entry. So we're going to tables, we're going to the entry, and I want to use this 3rd of June as the status date. So I'm going to project status date, and I'm going to set a status date as the 3rd of June. So at the 3rd of June, we are going to be doing a update. So I've set the status date. All right, so we have those two date sets. So let's actually, after this, let's